and these new features, being able to play with like your friends or your family. And it's also, it's great too, because you can take this with you. Places like being on set, all of that is conducive.
In 1991, Nintendo teamed up with Paul Rudd to create one of the most iconic video game commercials of all time. And because the world can be a great place sometimes, they're doing it again for 2025 and Nintendo Switch 2. Here to tell me all about it is Paul Rudd. Hey, Paul.
Hi, how's it going, Brian?
So 34 years after your first commercial together, you and Nintendo have somehow done it again, and it's very, very funny. How on earth did this new one come together?
Well, Nintendo reached out to me. I got a real kick out of this idea. I remember shooting the original one very well, and it was one of my very first jobs. And I just thought that this idea that they had about redoing it was really funny, and it would be fun. And it just kind of came about like that.
Hi, Uncle Paul.
Lisa.
I can't wait to tell my class how I clowned you guys.
That's a lot of lip out of you, Lisa. Time for our thumbs to do the talking.
The original one went viral out of nowhere like 7 or 8 months ago, which was, it just got this whole new life, which was amazing to see. I was telling my friends about this and they were like, yes, I love that commercial so much. So it's very cool that it's back. What was it like getting in that wardrobe again, the hair, the big black jacket, all of that? I feel like people could pull that off in 2025 because fashion is sort of cyclical now.
Sure, I can't. In the original, the hair, that really was my hair. And this one, I mean, we were really trying to go for the look, but I remember it all and it was making me laugh. I want to say that maybe even in the original one, that might have been my own beaded necklace, which, you know, I think is long gone.
Like you brought it with you to the set and they're like, yeah, sure, that works.
Yeah, they're like, that seems cool, man. Let's go with that.
Did it make you miss the 90s doing this again?
You know what? It did. I think it made me nostalgic in all of the right ways. Like I said, I remember playing that. I remember shooting that commercial. And so it is nostalgic, but then they're playing this new, you know, the Nintendo Switch 2, and then all of these kinds of updates to the games and the Mario Kart World, and now seeing like my buddies down below on it. Like it did have this feel of nostalgia, but it kind of with all leaning toward the future, and it was kind of fun to see both of those things hit at the same time.
That's awesome.
You know, guys, it's nice playing with power, but this is better because now we're playing together. Super together.
Uh-oh, he's doing a voice.
So you were in your early 20s in 91. What were your video game habits like back then? I mean, you grew up in a really good time. Were you playing Nintendo since you were a kid? Did you go to arcades growing up?
Yes, there was an arcade not far from my house, and it was like the greatest thing ever to be able to go to the arcade. I mean, I remember playing the original Donkey Kong, and that was my favorite. And it was also so different than any other game. I remember being really young and playing it. So it was always very exciting if I was able to go to an arcade and my parents dropped me off and I'd have like, $5 and I could play as many games as possible.
Was that your earliest Nintendo memory? Like weirdly playing Donkey Kong in a pizza parlor in Jersey City, New Jersey was like my first Nintendo memory, and it just set me on a path of loving their stuff forever. Was that it for you?
It was Donkey Kong for sure. Because I was of the generation, I really saw so many developments and so many of these games and how the technology really started to change. I mean, I remember vividly Donkey Kong being so unique and so much fun and mind-blowing. And that was the game for me. That was the one that I loved the most.
Yeah, it felt like it sort of had a story. Well, it was a story about like somebody getting kidnapped, but it was still a story, which was great. What's your favorite thing about Super Mario? Like he's just this wonderful character. I think he's just been there forever. For me, it's like I'm Italian and kind of chubby, so I've always been like, that's my dude right there.
It's a character that's now just kind of, I feel like, worked its way into just the culture. It's like, yeah, Mario's always been there for us,
So you make movies constantly, which means you travel like a ton for work. The Switch and Switch 2 are basically perfect for that.
Yeah.
What are your kind of modern video game habits now? Do you get some time with the Switch here and there?
No, I'm really excited for the Switch 2, Nintendo Switch 2, for that reason. And it's also pretty great in that I do travel with this job and these new features, being able to play with like your friends or your family. Remember when I would be away and I get to FaceTime with my kids? Like now it'll be this. which is even more fun. And it's also, it's great too, because you can take this with you. It's like being on set. Oh, that is it. It's conducive.
We have a massive gaming audience at IGN, pretty much the biggest, and they're all really excited for Switch 2. They're all probably really envious because you've played it and a lot of them haven't. What's your favorite thing about Switch 2?
I thought about it while we were doing it too. Every once in a while, I find myself, it's the weirdest, craziest job, where every once in a while, I will find myself in settings or in situations where I think, wow, I'm really seeing in person what I know so many people are curious about and will be excited when it comes out. And this was one of those. And to get to play it was really exciting. And it was also, you could see even amongst the crew, there were guys wearing Nintendo t-shirts, they were crew. They couldn't stop looking at the TV. And, I talked to them a little bit about it. Everyone was pretty excited.
Yeah, I got to play it 2 weeks ago in New York City for the first time, and just holding it, I was like, whoa,
yeah.
I'm holding a Switch 2.
When you decide to step up to this kind of play, this kind of fun.
You mentioned playing Mario Kart with your kids. I wanted to ask you sort of your general strategy on that. I'm a dad, and I tend to go easy when I play Mario Kart with my kid. Is that good? Should you do that? Do you hold back, or do you just go, hey, you know what? This is a learning moment here?
I think all parents are faced with this kind of decision, whether it's, if you're outside playing sports or whatever it is, like where do you let up? I think my kids are so much better at all of this stuff than I am. And so no, I would never take it easy. Personally, I would try my hardest and still get kind of whooped, most likely.
Do you have a favorite character so far in Mario Kart?
We would be filming the commercial, and then as they had to set up a new shot or something, I would still have it. So I would just start playing it. And then I'd get so into it, and they say, okay, we're ready. Let's go to do the next shot. And I have to put it down to play for the commercial, and it was like, I need 5 more minutes. And I was like trying to play. I would play with all of the different characters, and it was a fine line where reality and art did seem to kind of merge.
Did you say at the end of this, like, do I have to give this back?
I was really hoping when it was all done to say, here you go.
Here you go, a few months early.
Yeah, they didn't.
That would have been, you wouldn't want to have carried that around. People would have been like, I need that.
It's like everybody else, I'll be getting it right when it comes out.
Yeah.
Lisa, how are you going that fast? You don't even have an actual driver's license.
Let me show you a little something I learned in the 1900s.
There were 34 years between your first 2 Nintendo console ads. Do you think you'll return for a third one in 2059?
That's a question for some of the other people that are probably on this Zoom with us.
I think you should do it. Do it with like gray hair and, turn on the fan with a cane and all that.
Hey, I kept the coat.
Bring back the beads. Well, Paul, thank you so much. Go check out Paul's brand new Switch 2 ad. It's out right now, and get the Nintendo Switch 2 when it comes out. And for all things video games and beaded necklaces and very long coats and little fans and smoke machines in your apartment, stick with IGN.
Nice jacket, Paul.
Why are you dressed like you're in a boy band?
Seriously? My Super NES commercial from the 90s with my long black duster, indie rocked hair, and beaded necklace? Now we're playing with power. Come on.